Hey, good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today, man? How are you guys doing today? Hey, this is Gregory Wiles coming live to you from Houston, Texas, with this inspirational morning talk, man. First time listeners, I just come on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:45 Central Time. That's our time here in Texas, and I just share my thoughts. What I'm inspired to talk about that day. It's a beautiful day here in Texas, man. It's a beautiful, sunny day. I'm just outdoors. Not gonna really get much walking in this morning, but I can get some exercise in later. But yes, it's a great day here. Hey, just remember to, you could go on YouTube and check out what the stuff around right there. If you miss anything, you like what you hear, you could always go back and check it out on there. It's on there. You could just go on YouTube and search for Gregory Wiles, last name Wiles, and the channel is going to pop up, and you can check out a lot of the material that I did over the last 2 years. But what I want to talk about today, man, I want to talk about this little prayer from Jabez in Chronicles, right? It's a guy, Jabez, or some people might say Jabez. When it was given the account of the tribe of Judah, right? They're given the account of the tribe of the genealogy, all who, this was the mother, the father, and there's the mother and the brothers and all of these, and they're coming down this whole family line and giving anybody genealogies. And all of a sudden in 1 Chronicles 4, 9 and 10, there was this guy, Jabez, and all it's mentioned. Let me read the scripture. And it said, and Jabez was more honorable than his brethren, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him with sorrow. I bear him with sorrow, right? That's 9. Jabez was more honorable than his brethren, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bear him with sorrow. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, oh, that thou would bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. And God grant him that which he requested, right? So this was a guy, he born here. Let's break it down slowly, because a lot of us probably can relate to this, right? A lot of us can relate to this. This was just thrown in there. Remember, there was given the genealogy of this tribe of Judah, and here he is, no name, no father name, no mother, no brother's name, nothing. This just sticking there, and it's like, what? Why they just stick this in there, right? Why they just stick to talking about everybody else, father and brothers, and how they just stick this right in there? Just saying this guy, Jabez, was more honorable than his brethren. And his mother called him Jabez, saying she bear him with sorrow, right? Or some other translation might say she bore him in pain, right? But why is it he ain't got no father name, no nothing? And all the talk about here will go on and said this, Jabez called on God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my coast. Some other translations say enlarge my territory, and thy hand be with me, and thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me, and God grant his request. So let's break this down quickly, because I know a lot of people in this situation here, and you want to see how Jabez handled this situation, right? First of all, they're saying he's more honorable than his brethren, or honorable than his brothers, no other translation would say. So if he's more honorable than his brothers, that tells me his brothers, they may have got such a good reputation in the community, right? He's more honorable than them. That tells me they don't have such a good reputation in the community, right? The characters is not good. He was from a family with like a bad reputation. His family with a bad reputation. If they didn't mention any father here, it got to be for a reason. I don't think they just forget who Jabez's father is. So this tells me this family got a really bad reputation. A really bad reputation. And it said he was more honorable than his brother. So this tells me this is a guy who come from a family with a bad reputation, but he was determined. He was determined to do something different. He was determined that what goes on in his family is not going to affect him. It's not going to affect him, right? Let's go on. His mother called him in his name because she bear him in sorrow, right? So, or some other translation saying pain. So people could translate it. It could be the pain of child's birth. I should just name him that because she went through a lot of pain. But I like the I like the King James. That's why I use the King James. It's saying sorrow because this go on more than just pain in child's birth, because the name would be a popular name, right? How many women have pain during child's birth, and they did name the child Jabez or Jabez, who meaning pain and sorrow, right? So this tells me something else was going on in this family where the mother, maybe this mother getting the child now and the father left, something going on. And she was in so sorrow. Like that happened a lot of note in the time of the Depression, where a lot of kids who born the time of the Great Depression back in the 1930s there, when they was come, the parents them was so, it wasn't a happy time bringing a child into the world then, because they're like, this struggles that we're going through, this poverty here, I bring in the next mouth to feed. I can't even feed the 3, 4, 5 kids that I have, and there's a next child coming here. So I can see how some of those kids could get this name, who born in the Great Depression, or some families who born, oops, got stuff going on, and the child coming and they know how they can take care of them, and they could get this name also, Jabez, right? So something else was going on in the family here, okay? That the mother was in sorrow, great sorrow. And then, but Jabez said, you know what? I need to do something different here. I don't want what's going on in my family to affect me. So let's go on here, right? And thou would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory. So Jabez know his answer. That's what I want to show people. You might coming up in a situation, you might be in a family that things not going right. It's poverty attached to the family, it's all this bad repetition, but you do not have to continue along the trail. You could bring change. Jabez found the answer. Jabez went to God. So somebody, even though in this time of struggle, was teaching Jabez about God, and Jabez take it seriously. Maybe the mother and all the sorrow and all of that, she was still trying to teach the kids about God and about praying. And Jabez decided, I'm going to hold on this because I want something different for my life, right? So Jabez asked to be increased in his possessions, right? He wanted to be increase his territory, asking God, let God's hand be with him and keep him from all the evil that's affecting my family. Because more likely, if they left out the father name from here, he probably, because the property and then when they divide up all the inheritance was a serious thing, was a prized possession of the family. The father probably gamble it away or lose it or whatever, because they make a point not to mention their father's name. They make a point. It just look like this whole thing is just stuck in there without knowing. No, but they make a point not to mention this father's name. I don't think that they know who Jabez's father was, but it was so dishonorable. He probably squandered away his property or something like that, and they didn't even mention him. He wasn't even worth mentioning, right? They just mentioned, and they even worth mentioning the brothers too. They just mentioned Jabez because of what he stood for and the difference he made, right? So I want to tell some people, you might be in a situation like that, because Jabez born with all the cards stacked against him, man. He didn't ask to come into this family. He didn't ask for the struggles. He didn't ask for his mother to name him what she named him, because every time anybody called him his name, Jabez, it's saying sorrow, it's saying pain. So Jabez said, no, I got to change the art of this. I got to change the art of this. So I go into God and ask him to change this stuff around. So every time this pain, what my name is attached to, and this sorrow, all the evils affecting my family, I don't need this to be associated with me. I don't need this to be associated with me. So I'm saying to someone here, don't use the excuse, oh, this is going on in the family, or my mother didn't set a good example, my father didn't set a good example, that's why I'm here. And that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. Yes, you didn't ask for the situation. Yes, that was stacked against you from since you're born. But there is a way and there's an answer. And that's what this little prayer of Jabez is showing us. We can go to God and ask him to change stuff around. we can ask him to change stuff around. But here what end off him saying, and God grant him that which he requested. God grant him his request. God enlarge his territory, keep all the evil away, and change him. So his course of life was different from that of the family that he didn't have no choice of coming into, right? So I'm going to just read and finish off with this little thing here. Put together, all of this gives us a picture of a young man who has all the cards stacked against him. He has dissolute and irresponsible father whose name has been dropped from the official records because he lost his family property in some shameful way. He feels within himself a taint, a weakness from his hereditary, which has touched his brothers and brought them to shame and disgrace in the eyes of the whole community. He has no property, no way of starting, earning a living, no way of attaining to a position of honor or status in the community. He had no way of this through his family, right? But he turned to God and he said, God, I want you to change this stuff around for me. I need something different. I don't need to fall in this line. I didn't have a choice in this matter, God. I didn't ask to be here in this family. I didn't ask for this disgraceful situation, but I need something different from my life. I need to start something different from my family line, God, and I'm asking you to change stuff around for me, right? So if you is in a Jabez situation, don't use it as an excuse. It's not an excuse. This little prayer is showing us how we can change stuff, how we can get change in our life, how we can set a new course for our family, guys. Okay? So it's not an excuse to say that I didn't have nothing to start off with. My family, my father this, my mother this. Yes, they're all of that. Yes, they're all of that. And that's a fact. And that's not going anywhere. And it did set you back. It didn't give you the start you would love to have. All of that is true. All of that is true. We cannot discount that. We cannot discard that. But we're saying you do not have to suffer, just like those Jabez brothers them just buy into it and they go on to say he was more honorable than them. You can change stuff around with prayers. You could be determined that you want something different, and with prayers and petition to God, and you continuing following the laws, doing the right things, setting a plan for your future, and you can change stuff around for your family line. All right, guys? So just remember this prayers. You can go and look it up for yourself, whatever translation you read in. It's 1 Chronicles 4, 9, and 10. A lot of people don't even realize it's there because he never got mentioned again in the Bible. Just this little couple of lines here talk about him, but this little prayer is so powerful. It leaves a very important message for us. Don't give up hope. Prayer, any situation you in, don't use it as an excuse. You can still pray your way out of it, right, guys? So, guys, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to leave it there. Have a great, great day, and we'll talk again next time. All right, goodbye.